And
Okay. Well, welcome everybody. I'm going to say that this is a pleasure for me to do this conversation with my friend, compadre, partner in mental health here in our community, Anthony Rodriguez. And we're doing this conversation because we want to get the information out during Suicide Prevention Month to our whole community about how we can all make a difference. And Anthony has his own personal life experience of his survival and what he's doing now. So this is an important conversation. So thank you, Anthony,
thank you.
for being here with me.
Absolutely.
So for those of us who know your story, we've been very touched by it. But for the people who don't know a little part of your background in relation to your struggles, maybe you could just tell us a little bit about your story and what you went through to get where you are now.
Well, I know a lot of people don't like to talk about the word suicide, but that was something that was always consistently on my mind. Actually, that was my goal, was to take my own life. The reasons why I felt that I needed to do that was, I started, being abused, sexually abused at a very young age. Lost my father in front of my face, and there was just a lot of heartache and pain. And I felt I couldn't talk about it. Being young and being a young man, you're always told to shut up and suck it up, and deal with it. And suicide is not any, in anybody's vocabulary, and at your home, nobody talks about it. So it's becomes really difficult to be able to express yourself, especially when being at a young age, you're told not to express yourself. So you get that stuck in your mind. And that's how I felt. I felt I couldn't talk about it. I couldn't say anything. If I hurt, I held it all in. It made it very, very difficult for me. And so by the age of 12, I was jumped into a gang, and it was just nothing but violence. Just from there, my mom and my aunts were very supportive, but at that time, I had so much animosity towards myself because I hated myself for, I felt, allowing the abuse. And I didn't think anybody would believe me about the abuse, because that's what I was told, that nobody would ever believe me, and that, I was just nothing. So that's how I felt. I felt like I was nothing. And, my voice was taken away at that time, and the day before we buried my dad, crying, and my uncle when he told me that, there went my voice again. So I felt I didn't have one. Yeah. So.
And did you go on to have suicide attempts?
3. There's 3 attempts. 2 of them were very severe. And when I survived them, I was very angry. I was very mad that that I didn't, it didn't happen. And a lot of people just didn't understand why I was so angry, but I didn't want to be here. I felt like my life wasn't worth living. I didn't deserve to live. That was just something that I truly felt in my heart. And the fact that I was hurting my family, it hurt me to hurt my family, but I just didn't know what else to do or say. So I thought the best thing to do was to take my life.
Yeah. And then when you were angry that you didn't die and that you had to go on living in the pain you were in, how did you and what supported you to get from that darkness you felt to coming through that?
So it took many, many, many years. I mean, I did end up speaking up about the abuse, but if anybody knows anything about abuse, it's very difficult. Through the lawyers and all this court stuff, and then my mom had no idea, and my mom was just completely devastated when I told her, and she just felt it was her fault, and it wasn't her fault. She didn't do anything, and that hurt me too, because she was so hurt and devastated. So that, it just really bothered me. But it just, the one thing I guess that did help me begin to start looking at things a little bit different is when I met my wife. When I met her, I had to be honest with her about everything that I'd gone through and what has happened, because I wanted to be with her, but I needed to be honest. And when I was, and I told her what had happened, and I just told her how, the anger and everything that, builds up. And um, she didn't say anything. She just stood there and listened. And at first I was kind of nervous because I wasn't expecting that. I'm usually expecting, oh, you should know better, or I told you so, or, just something backlash instead of just listening. And for the first time, I had somebody just to listen. And when that happened, I was a little lost, but I was also relieved because she didn't tell me to stop. She didn't interrupt me. She just said, okay, I don't know what to do, but we're going to do this together. It's going to be, we'll figure this out. And when she did that and said that, that's all I've been looking for, I think. Honestly, I just wanted somebody just to listen and not judge me from my feelings and not judge me for the things that I have done. I mean, there are things that I've done that I'm not proud of, but I didn't know what else to do at that time. And so when she opened up and listened to me and told me that we're going to get through this together, I was very confused, but also I started to feel a little bit different inside. And when I started seeing the way that she treated me and the way that she was with me, she made me realize that my life was worth it and that I didn't have to be thinking about wanting to take my life. And she made me realize there was other things that were different. Not once did she ever judge me. And I think that's one thing about when we're feeling, at a point that we feel like we can no longer go on. And if we talk to somebody, that's what we want. We want people just to hear us out, not to tell us what to do, not to tell us what they think we should do, but just listen, and just listening makes such a huge difference in somebody's life. And that was the turning point for me to be able to change my life.
Yeah. It's that open listening without any judgment.
Yeah, absolutely.
You were able to accept yourself and not fight yourself and just start to begin who you are, your life.
Yeah.
Do you now, I know you do so much in the community to help others in mental health when they're struggling. What do you offer them? What do you think's the most effective response we can offer somebody who's in that state?
Your ears and your heart. It's listening and hearing are two different things, and I've learned that from my experiences. And when you really listen to somebody and just hear them out, it's such a gift that you give somebody, just to be there, not to leave them by themselves. And that makes an amazing difference, because at that point, that's what we feel. We feel like we're by ourselves. We feel like we don't have anything. And when you take that time to listen to somebody and just say, okay, you know what? I don't know what to do, but let's figure this out. You're giving that person a chance to know that, okay, I'm not being judged. Maybe there is something good about me. And that's kind of where I ended up with, because I didn't expect that. But when I got that, it was weird. I felt something inside that I've never felt before. And it was just different. And I liked the feeling, and it was very weird, but I liked it. And so, she's taught me so many things about that. And what she's taught me to learn to do to others is also just be that listening ear, and just be there, whether they talk to me or not talk to me, but at least they know that they're not by themselves, without no pressure, without no judgment, without no consequences or stigma. Just be there, because I want to be there. And I think that makes a huge difference. Yeah.
In the suicide literature, they talk about the concept of hope and hopelessness.
Yeah.
And I wondered if you could talk a little bit about how that, how hope plays a part in the suicidal experience.
Well, when you're down and about and thinking about having thoughts of suicide, you're at your wits' ends. You know, you do feel hopeless, whether you try internally to fight that feeling of not feeling that way, it happens. And you know,
I,
when things are become more difficult and the more that you feel hopeless, it becomes overwhelming. Just the one person can make that change. You can make that change in somebody's life to give them some hope and have them open their eyes to see actually what their life can be if they just had some hope in themselves, I guess. You know, giving themselves a second opportunity, a second chance, to be able to see, you know, the world in a different way. And, you know, there is hope. There really is. And I got to tell you, I never thought I'd ever say that. You know, I never thought I would say something like that. It wasn't worth saying anything, but now I can tell you that, yeah, things are very hard and difficult right now. And if I was the way that I was thinking back then, I guarantee you I probably would have tried again. But what has helped me to have that hope is the amazing supports of friends and family and being able to be there for others during their most difficult time. It makes me realize that, you know, life is precious and life can be good. But we just have to allow ourselves to have that second chance.
do you ever think about suicide now and in
Honestly,
your life? That come up?
it had came up, but you know, it was one that's not funny, but it was just very amazing that as soon as I thought about it, for some reason, I just ended up thinking about all the families that I've worked with and I've talked to and I've comforted. And I was just like, no way, man. I'm not even going to go there. Now I got to figure out a way to be able to be there for others more than I am here to, you know, today. Because I have a lot, you know, even though a lot of people may not think it, but it's not about money. It's not about anything else. I have you know, blessed with a beautiful wife. Now we have 65 godchildren, and I have amazing friends and supporters in this community has been an amazing, they've taught me a lot. They've taught me a lot and have given me an opportunity to be the person that I wanted to be. And, you know, to see my, you know, my nephew and my wife smile and tease me about being on all these other things that they're like, oh, there you go again. Well, you know, that's okay. That's me. And it's nice. It's really nice to know that it's, I have the support. I'm not alone anymore. And that makes a difference. Yeah.
And you are that hope for a lot of people. Your story has been an inspiration and a hope for so many, you know, especially with your background and the cultural things you've come through, the abuse. It's an inspiration and a hope for people that they can get through it and they can survive.
Yeah.
So to have another life. And the other thing that in this country we want to address overall is what kind of changes can we make for people on a political level, on a societal level, that would help people who might be struggling with mental health issues or suicidal thoughts. What do you think could be some of the things we could do?
One of the things that always keeps popping up in my mind because of the fact that, you know, working in the industry that we work in now in regards to mental health and seeing the effects of mental health when you don't have that support can be fatal. Knowing that sometimes you do need a day off, you know, even though it's not just the weekend, but sometimes we go through things during the week and it becomes overwhelming because you don't want to ask for, like, let's say, a day off from work. Why? Because you're going to have that stigma at work, or you're going to be worried about you losing your job at work. You know, it's that's hard. It makes it even worse, you know, on top of what you're already feeling. And that can cause, you know, definitely some depression, you know, suicide, you know, drinking and drugs, and because it becomes overwhelming. You know what you need to do, but sometimes people just need a time to breathe. Like literally just a day to breathe without having questions or thinking people thinking that you can't handle it. You know what? Life is life, and life is hard. But if we have that support from our employers and our coworkers and stuff like that, it can save lives. It truly can, because you don't have to have that second thought of worries, you know, just because you want to take care of one thing that you know you can deal with, but there might be a lot of pressure. But having to ask for the day off because you need to deal with it, and then being questioned, and then you're always worried. You don't have that time for your mental state to relax, you know. And if an employer gave that, you know, an employee a time to breathe, man, there's no doubt that it would definitely save lives and reduce the risk of suicides and homicides. And, you know, there's just so much that comes with that. And where I'm working now, that's actually what we're doing. We're actually been giving the employees mental health days. And it was just because we're dealing with COVID, and you know, at the food bank, we're working a lot. There's a lot going on at the food bank. But like today, I'm having the day off to be able to have a mental day off. And this is for everybody in the company. So it's really nice, and it really helps. And I got to tell you that if it wasn't for that, I mean, right now, I think I would be way overwhelmed because of the stuff that we've been dealing with, you know, this week. But being able to have that one day, just a day to breathe, would make a difference in many lives.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I really like that idea. If we all took that really seriously, as we talked about before, we take our physical health seriously and we have days off for that, vacation.
Yeah.
Why not give our spirit and our emotions and our mental state also that time to breathe?
Right.
And say, we're a mind and body, and we need that time to breathe. I like that idea. If we could pass that and have so many days a year that you just take,
right,
to have like you're having today.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
And
time off.
it helps. It really helps. I mean, we've had a very stressful week with the loss of my goddaughter and some other things. And, you know, and my mom's health and everything like that. I mean, we've been driving back and forth to Victorville twice this week. And, you know, we just got back last night too. And it becomes tiring and overwhelming, but you have to do your job. But knowing that you have that support when you really need it the most, and not have to worry about your job, that's, you know, keeping you alive and paying your bills. What more can you ask for? I mean, it helps. It really helps. And I'm very grateful for having that opportunity. And I really would like if others can have that opportunity to do that.
You're feeling supported.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
It's nice. That's nice.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything else before we close that you'd like to share that we can include?
I just want to let everybody know that, you know, yeah, things are getting hard, and just with everything with COVID has become much more difficult. But just remember to remember you, and also remember those that are probably stuck in their homes, you know, or the seniors. Just make a phone call, you know, write a letter. Everybody forgot about writing letters, but writing letters makes a big difference. If you see somebody on the street that's having a difficult day, just smile and say hi. You know, you never know what life you can save just by acknowledging somebody, and it makes a difference. And just realize that everybody goes through so many things, and we shouldn't judge anyone. So just be good to yourselves and reach out if you need help, because it's okay not to be okay. And be good to yourselves. That's it.
Yeah. Thank you, Anthony.
Thank you.
That's such a great message. So we look forward to sharing this month and all the activities. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day to breathe.
I will. Thank you. So let's see.